student response this morning will be delivered by David L. Winter. And before I invite him to the podium, allow me to tell you just a little bit about him. David today begins his third career. From 1991 until 1995, he was a New York City police officer. He then changed careers and joined the New York City Fire Department, where he was promoted to arson investigator 4 years later. In that position, from which he retired in 2005, he was one of the first responders to call at the Twin Towers on 9/11. David began his college education at Lorain County Community College before coming to the University of Akron. He graduates today having earned a Bachelor of Science degree in accounting and a minor in financial planning with a GPA of 3.8. As a supplement to his studies on campus, David was an accounting intern. He also is active in community service and in attendance for today's celebration of his wife Susan, his son Zachary, and his parents David and Ruth Winter. David, we're honored to invite you to come forward to address your fellow 2011 graduating class members. David?
Thank you, President Proenza, and thank you, Dr. Bartley, for your welcome to the University of Akron Alumni Association. On behalf of the fall 2011 graduating class, I proudly accept your invitation to continue our relationship with our alma mater by joining the Alumni Association. When I was initially informed that I was going to be the student responder, the first question I asked myself was, why? Why me? I'm not exactly representative of the typical college student. As you can see, I have a little less hair than most of you. What hair I do have is a little gray. But in reflecting on that, it made me realize that at the University of Akron, there are a lot of us non-traditional students. So the next question I had to ask myself was, now what? I had to figure out what to say here today. And as I thought about it, I realized that I've had to ask myself that question more than a few times in my life. We've all taken different paths to get here today. My path probably has been very different from most of yours. When I graduated from high school in New York, I asked myself, now what? I wasn't interested in going to college, and instead I became a New York City police officer. After a few years on the force, I realized what I really wanted to do was to be a firefighter. So I joined the New York City Fire Department. And I thought that would be the last time that I would have to answer the now what question, at least in terms of career. And then the terrorist attacks in 2001 really changed things for me. After working down at the World Trade Center, I was forced to retire much earlier than I had anticipated due to some health issues. And once again, there was that same old question. Now what? Well, after moving to Cleveland to be closer to my wife's family, and since I've always had an aptitude for numbers, I decided to major in accounting here at the University of Akron. Like I said, we've all followed different paths, yet here we are in the same place, sitting in our caps and gowns, and we're all facing the same question. You've heard it from your friends, advisors, classmates, and definitely your parents. And you've no doubt asked it of yourself. Now what? Some of you may have temporarily answered that question. You may have plans for graduate school or have jobs already lined up. Others may not be as fortunate. But don't worry. I stand here today to tell you that it works out. Your life will take twists and turns that you can't even imagine yet and would never expect. You'll have plenty more now what moments. But the good news is you're well prepared to answer them. Now you're graduating and you'll be faced with a whole new category of now what questions. The first time your boss asks you to do something you're unsure of, you'll ask yourself, now what? When your first student loan payment is due. Along with the rent, phone bill, cable bill, car payment, and credit card bills, you'll ask yourself calmly, now what? And you will handle it because you learned how to do so here at the University of Akron. So, now what? We've turned our tassels, and now we're alumni. You might leave here and celebrate. You know I am. Or you might finish your Christmas shopping. Finish your paper that you got an extension on so that you could be here today. But most of all, you're going to go out into the world and show everyone that you, as a University of Akron graduate, can handle all the now what questions that life will pose you with a positive attitude and integrity. Congratulations, class of 2011. Thank you.